Hey guys, what's up? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, then what I do is every day of 2024, I vow to check out a new band or artist. I check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on those songs, give you my ranking of the songs, and then of course my overall thoughts on the artist, based on what I just heard. As you can see right there, today's artist is Bright Eyes. Now, I talked about Bright Eyes on a previous video where I had said I basically never dove into them, so if you guys want me to dive into them, let me know. And you guys were so kind, and you were like, yes, please do Bright Eyes. I'm a fan. I would like to hear your thoughts. So that's why I'm here today, giving you my thoughts. If you don't want to wait for me to suggest things to myself and you to comment on it, then just go to those comments now and leave me some band or artist suggestions that you want to see me get to. Maybe they're an indie band like Bright Eyes. Maybe it's a rock band. Maybe it's a pop star. Doesn't matter. Leave it in there, and hopefully I'll get to it on a future episode. If you just stumbled upon this video, please hit the like and subscribe button below. I'd appreciate it oh so very much. Even if you haven't really seen me do anything yet. It doesn't cost you anything. Just do it. Just do it. So what do I know about Bright Eyes? I knew Bright Eyes was one of those, they're emo, but they're also indie bands like Death Cab for Cutie, who I also never really listened to, so I guess let me know if you want me to do that. So basically, I'm expecting some sad indie songs. We'll see if that ends up being the case. Let's dive into Bright Eyes together. The first song I checked out was Lover I Don't Have to Love off their 2002 album, Lifted, or yada yada yada. I'm not reading that all. I want a lover I don't have to love. I want a boy so drunk. So first off, I was today's years old when I discovered that Bright Eyes was in fact a band and not a solo artist. I always thought it was just Connor's solo artist, and it was like Dashboard Confessional, where he just had a moniker for his solo project. Looking at their Spotify bio, that does seem to be the case early on, but eventually he recruited some multi-instrumentalists, and the rest is history. Now, that's a good thing because I really dug the instrumentation on the song. The highlighting of the keys probably being my favorite amongst them. What I didn't expect was the chorus to actually go so hard. Now, maybe that's because I expected some sad indie songs. So the bar was low, so even just a little bit of hardness I was shocked at. But yeah, it surprised me. My only downside with this track is there's a bit of repetition in the outro. It's not the end of the world, but I wish it wasn't there. The outro is also a little long. Next up was their big album, 2005's I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning, and I checked out First Day of My Life.
Been waiting to win the lottery.
Okay, so this is more of the track that I expected to get from Bright Eyes. It's just a indie song led by the acoustic guitar. There is some other instrumentation in there, but the acoustic is what takes the lead. The instrumentation's not nearly as interesting as on the last track, where I said the keys was my highlight. We also get some strings at the end that really resonated. But this track is actually lyrically pretty optimistic, so this isn't even the sad indie song that I expected. They followed up that album with 2007's Casadega, and I checked out 4 wins from that album.
It's the summer man, touching towards.
Alright, so right off the top, we get lots of different instrumentation sounds, so we're back on track, baby. But did we really need that intro to be a minute long? I mean, I enjoyed hearing all the different sounds. I guess you needed some time to pick them all out, but a minute's excessive. That being said, vocally, I think this is the best Connor has sounded. I really enjoy the power in his voice here, especially in the bridge. The bridge kind of takes it down and picks it back up. It's an incredible part of the song, and probably my favorite part of any of these songs I've heard yet. Alright, so that was kind of like the big Bright Eyes era in the 2000s. So I'm just going to jump to her most recent release, Down in the Weeds, Where the World Once Was. And I checked out Persona Non Grata.
And depressed vacant lot where a prison stood.
Okay, so this is a similar slow indie song vibe, kind of like First Day of My Life was. But there is much more instrumentation added into this track. Unfortunately, right after I said the last track was Connor's best vocal performance, I think this might be my least favorite. I just felt like he was talking at us instead of singing, and I miss the power or the quiver that the other tracks gave us in his voice. But at least there was some new sounds instrumentally, so I appreciated that at the very least. So it wasn't a total loss. Alright, those were the 4 tracks I checked out. Let's go ahead and rank them. At number 1, 4 Winds. This should come as no surprise. I said it contained my favorite part and vocal performance. Vocals are a big part of what I rank here because that's something I specifically like to see. But it wasn't even just vocal driven. I'm pretty sure these were probably also my favorite lyrics and my favorite instrumentation. It was the clear number 1 for me. I even almost penciled it in after hearing the track before I even got to the 4th track. At 2, Lover I Don't Have to Love. I really dug this track overall. My only downside was a bit of repetition in the outro, but I can get over that because honestly the first bit was so good. Heck, my number 1 song had a minute intro. I generally hate that, but I can get over it if the rest of the song is alright. It would just be that much better if you chunk that off. At 3, First Day of My Life. Sorry every Bright Eyes fan out there because this is by far the most streamed song. It's okay, but I listen to a lot of emo and pop punk already, so if I'm just looking for like an optimistic acoustic guitar song, I have lots to choose from already. I don't know if this one's going to jump to the forefront of my brain, but overall, I still had a good time with it, and if it pops up on the radio or on a Spotify playlist, I'm like, oh yeah, this was a nice surprise, a nice find for me. Which puts at number 4, Persona Non Grata. Again, should come as no surprise. I just didn't dig Connor's vocal performance on this. I don't think it was bad or anything. I would not say that. It just wasn't nearly as good as on the other 3 tracks, which of course holds it back. Now, Connor at this point had been doing this for like 25 years, so maybe it's just time taking its toll. I don't know, because everything else I listened to was from the early 2000s, which was probably his prime. So maybe it holds up in the whole album structure, but pitting it up against these other 3 songs, it was just the obvious number 4. Alright, so those were my thoughts on the songs. What are my overall thoughts on Bright Eyes? The lyrics are phenomenal. I basically expected that going in. There was no part of me that was thinking the lyrics were going to be bad, and Connor delivered on that. Whether I was listening to a song from 2002 or from 2020, lyrically it was all top notch. So it's very clear to me that that's a big draw of this band. As for what I didn't expect was obviously the instrumentation. I went in thinking this was going to be a solo guy with the acoustic guitar. Obviously, most acoustic guitar bands add little sounds, but I didn't expect the diversity that these 2 extra multi-instrumentalists add to Bright Eyes. Honestly, probably the most surprising thing I've heard doing any of these. So kudos to Bright Eyes, and I hope they keep it up. Alright guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I appreciate you. Like I said earlier, please get in those comments. Leave me suggestions of bands or artists I absolutely need to check out. I need it. We're at the end of April. We're almost at the exact 1/3 mark. But that means I still have 2/3 to go. So please keep those suggestions coming so I can keep filling up my my list with artists that you guys want to see videos done on. Today's day 120, so there's lots of backlog if you just stumbled upon this, so make sure you go check those out. Maybe you'll find something you like that you missed. Save yourself from suggesting it. But even if you don't want to go on the backlog, I get it. It's a lot of work. I don't want to do that when I discover a new podcast that I realize has 100 back episodes as well. But hopefully you just stick around for the ride going forward. And the best way to do that is if you cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off for now, but until tomorrow, I want to hear you sad.